All right, now, everybody. Quiet, listen to me. We're going to start a show. Now, some of you people have been with me before. You know it's going to be a tough grind, but we're going to have a show.
And good morning from the Mark Thompson Show Central Mothership. Also, good afternoon and good evening if you're listening or watching at any time. We're live every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a to 1 p Pacific time. But from all over the world, they join. And we love the fact that we're closing in on our one-year anniversary. And thank you so much for being here. Today, we've got a lot going on and can't wait to get to it. Kim is here.
Kim, how are you?
And Albert is here as well, the commissioner.
Albert, thank you.
I actually have a stop planned at the commissioner's desk, the commissioner of sports, because there's something going on in golf. And you don't need to be a fan of golf. You don't even need to even understand golf or to know this story that's playing out inside golf. And it is especially built for our commissioner, Albert. So we'll get into that,
Albert, thank you.
In a second. There's a lot going on with, of course, government shutdown looming, open hostilities in the GOP party, and in fact, talk of removing Kevin McCarthy. But before I get to all of that in Friday Fabulous Florida and movies, of course, in the second hour with the culture blaster, Michael Snyder, the breaking news of today is the death of Diane Feinstein. She was a transformational figure in San Francisco politics. You know, longest-serving woman, senator, and also, I believe, and then we're going to bring John Rothman on right away, but let me fumble around a little bit with just from memory. I believe first woman to ascend to the mayorship in San Francisco, and she
That's
rose
correct.
to she was from the Board of Supervisors, and she rose to prominence in San Francisco at a truly crisis moment in the city. And for more on that, and to just give us a little bit of Diane Feinstein's significance, I wish I had more time today. Friday is such a busy day, but I really appreciate that this guy volunteered to step up and give us some reflections. He when you hear the name, you'll know this is the guy who really knows the world of Diane Feinstein and her history and importance, both in Congress and in the Bay Area. How about it for John Rothman, everybody? John, some thoughts on Diane Feinstein. Could you tell us, those of us who may not be aware of all of the significance and importance of Diane Feinstein, who she was, both politically and personally? I wonder if you could give us some thoughts, please.
I've known Diane my whole life. Her father, Dr. Goldman, was a close friend of my father's. I've known each one of Diane's husbands. She's been married 3 times. Jack Berman, who she divorced. Bert Feinstein, who again was a medical colleague of my father's and a very close family friend. And finally, Dick Blum. I remember when Diane first ran for the Board of Supervisors in 1969. She came out of nowhere. She came in number 1. She was an extremely popular figure. She decided to run for mayor in 1971, and she was defeated. She decided to run for mayor again in 1975, and she was defeated. And it was clear that she was not going to run again in 1979 against George Moscone. But of course, fate interfered, and Diane was the one who announced to all of us the death of George Moscone and Harvey Milk. And Diane became mayor of San Francisco. She was to serve for 10 years as mayor. She had victories and defeats, and I do want to point this out. You're going to hear all about her record, and a lot of other people can talk about it. But when you come back from defeat, that's really something. And Diane was defeated twice for mayor. She ran for governor of California against Pete Wilson and was defeated. In fact, the night of the debate between Pete Wilson and Diane Feinstein, her husband, Dick Blum, was in our house watching the debate. My relationship with her over the years was very interesting. I played Emperor Norton in the Court of Historical Review. And shortly thereafter, I saw Diane at an event, and she bowed very low to me, the imperial ruler of San Francisco.
What?
She was a remarkable woman, and I say woman, and I want to underline that. In 1992, the Year of the Woman, she and Barbara Boxer both won, but Diane went on to the Senate and took it by storm. She was chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee. She was on the on the Senate Judiciary Committee, and let me point out, she was not a lawyer. So there were a lot of exceptional things about her. We remember her because of the Iraq torture situation, where she stood up and was absolutely clear on that. And we remember her because of the assault weapons ban, which was really something. She pursued that. It was only a 10-year ban, but nonetheless, Diane was instrumental in getting that done. So her legacy is incredible. Let me just say a quick word about her last year or two. It was unfortunate that she was unable to function at full capacity. But as we heard this morning, just yesterday, she was still going strong, meeting with people, planning her next adventure. So when you judge Diane Feinstein, you do it in the totality of her career. Understand, she's the longest serving woman to serve in the United States Senate from California. And she was a powerful force in this. And one other thing, I mean, I know you've got a lot of questions for me, but she worked across the aisle, Democrats and Republicans. And you saw it today in the tributes paid by her colleagues. Even Kevin McCarthy, in the midst of this great battle, and right now as we talk, his speakership hangs in the balance, as you know, at this moment. He paid a beautiful tribute to Diane because he worked with her on water issues. I mean, she worked across the aisle. Was she a tremendous, effective force for good? The answer is yes. She was tough as nails, but absolutely one of the finest people I've ever dealt with. So
certainly her tenure in Congress saw a changing texture of this country and of politics.
And of the Senate itself. The collegiality which existed during the time that she came to the Senate, and she kept building on it and working on it. It was important, and working across the aisle is critical, and we don't see that. You're certainly right now in the House of Representatives, you're seeing that lack of ability to work across the aisle, and that would have, I think, the real lesson of Diane's life.
Well, they can't work on their side of the aisle in the House of Representatives. I mean, it's truly a bizarre and extreme circumstance. And the last thing I just want to double back to,
sure,
a criticism of Diane Feinstein toward the end, because as you suggest, and I think you do it so politely and so beautifully, that she wasn't able to function at full capacity, I think, or something to the words to that effect, toward the end. Her role, and I was critical of, and so I want to own that. I was critical of her participation in the legislature, as I am of a lot of these people who I feel like kind of are checked in and checked out. But her role on the Judicial Committee, on the Judiciary Committee, thank you, in terms of confirmation, was critical. Critical.
Absolutely.
So I mean, this idea that we get rid of her, that could have mortally wounded your chances of getting the justices in place, the judges in place, that would influence this country for decades to come.
That's correct. And she voted yesterday. She was at the Senate yesterday. And Jane Harman, the former member of Congress from California, was with her yesterday. And there's a picture of Jane Harman and Diane Feinstein. Looking at it, Diane looked just great. And Jane said, you know, she was an inspiration and she really cared. And I know she wasn't at full capacity, but the argument can be made that she continued to vote, she continued to act. And I want to give her a lot of credit for something else. She had a hell of a staff. And you know, and I know, having worked in the legislature as I have, your staff is critical. She was very lucky to have Jim Lazarus with her as her chief, if you will. He was a phenomenal asset to her. So Diane surrounded herself with excellent people. She had excellent political instincts. She was the dominant force in California politics for 3 decades. And let me say again, she was defeated for governor in a very tight race. And she didn't give up. She continued to do what she had to do. And California is lucky, and the nation is lucky, that we had Diane Feinstein as a leader.
One point I want to ask you, it's a personal thing about Diane Feinstein as we finish up. Mm-hmm. How tall was she? She was tall.
Let me explain. She was.
Because I
remember.
remember, I knew just going to, sorry to ask a question and then interrupt you, but let me just tell you that when I first met Diane Feinstein in San Francisco, I thought, holy S, she is tall. It just doesn't come across when you're seeing her on television.
And when you're as short as I am, at 5'6", she towered over us. But she had an elegance and a grace and a style. And when you saw her campaigning here in San Francisco or in California, you saw someone who had a full grasp. And one more thing, Mark, she studied the issues. I had disagreements with Diane. If we had time, I'd tell you some of the issues I had with her. But she was always respectful. She was always knowledgeable. And she was always willing to debate the issues. And what more can you ask from an elected public official?
Look forward to your reflections being continued on your podcast, John Rothman. It's Around the Political World with John Rothman. Check out his podcast, subscribe, and we will talk to you next Wednesday on your regular day. But I appreciate you being available to talk about Diane Feinstein, someone with whom you had a personal relationship and a professional relationship, and it's really cool that you spent a couple minutes with us.
Thank you for having me, Mark.
Okay. John Rothman, everybody. Right on. Good stuff.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah, I just thought it was important to get, some real reflections from somebody who knew Diane Feinstein, both, in politics and also personally. I am told as I check the, checking the chat, and my favorite CPA is in the chat. How about it for Stan Pollock?
Big shout out.
Yeah, big shout out to Stan Pollock, CPA. He gives us a $10 super sticker. He says, look, 474 people are watching and only 171 likes. Kick some butt, Mark. Yeah, smash it.
Smashed it with your iron rod.
It cost you nothing.
It's 530
people?
people watching now. So yeah, let's get the
Don't
like.
make me
click
turn
the like.
on you.
Click the subscribe, click the like, do it all.
Subscribe, like, hit the bell, the notification bell. You'll be told whenever we come on the air with a new video.
Why are you yelling?
Click everything.
Click it. If it's available to click, 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 click.
Why are you yelling?
Just smash it with your iron rod.
Smashed it with your iron
Why
rod.
are you yelling?
Okay. $5 from Luis. Wonderful insights on Di-Fi, John. When will you announce, John, the start of the Rothman Renaissance of San Francisco, so we may support your run for mayor? Wow. Well, I think he's talked about it, hinted, says that he reflects on it and looks at it, considers it every day. So who knows? Marilyn with a super sticker for $5. Thank you.
Big shout out.
Finishing the week strong. Thank you for the super stickers, super chats. We are a crowdfunded show, so we appreciate that. And of course, I actually wanted to, God, I've got a lot of stuff to do, but as long as I'm on it, maybe you can put up how to join through Patreon and PayPal, because I did get a really cool notification that people are joining through Patreon and PayPal for our 1-year anniversary.
Nice.
Ivy just became a $10 monthly patron. Come on, Ivy. Yeah. Big shout out.
Big shout out.
She went to the Patreon page, and she is now part of the community that supports this show. So grateful to you.
Really nice.
TheMarkThompsonShow.com. They're click through to PayPal and also Patreon. If you want to make it easy, you just click through either, and you can be part of things. And somebody else too. I got this word that Kathy, she said this. She made a Patreon contribution, and she said, I'd been a KGO listener for decades. We come from KGO. For those of you who are new, who may have come through TYT or through other, this is a radio station in San Francisco, dominant talk radio, news-centered talk station in San Francisco. And when that station went away, which just happened a year ago, we brought the show to YouTube. Kathy says, I've been a KGO listener for decades, and I was so sad when it went off the air. You were my favorite host.
Aww.
Well, you know what? I could stop right there. Let me just say, coincidentally, Kathy, I was my favorite host. Yes,
There's a surprise.
I was extremely excited when you decided to start your own YouTube channel so quickly, and I've been listening ever since. Congrats on your 1-year anniversary. Here's to many more years. Thank you, Kathy, and thank you for the Patreon contribution for our 1-year anniversary. We're really excited. Albert, you didn't see that we got these greetings. They're starting to come in. I don't even know if I forwarded them on to you.
No, I haven't. But you were talking about favorite shows on KGO. You were also my favorite show, Mark. I listened to yours the most out of everyone else.
Albert, thank you.
Albert was the producer of the show, of course. Everyone, for those who are, you see, that's the word there. All right.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Look, I've got a huge law and disorder waiting to bust loose. I mean, it really is big, and I want to get to it. But before I do, I kind of want to get to the. I want to get to the sports desk.
This thing is ready to pop, people.
The thing that's ready to pop is law and disorder. I'll have it for you in a moment. Again, I'm going to put off the closing of the government and everything that's going on with the GOP and leadership and calls for removal and possible till the second hour, because that's when Michael Shure and Jim Avila will be in. But right now, I want to ask you as commissioner, will you update me on what's happening in the world of golf and this bizarre story out of the world of golf, please, Commissioner?
Of course. So I've been following the Ryder Cup, which is played in Rome right now, but it has me in full golf mode. So in light of that, I've been following this other story. So currently in Asia, they have the Asian Games, which is kind of like there's regional Olympics, and there's these two golfers of Korean descent that are playing to get gold medals. Obviously, it's the Asian Games, but if they get the Golden Games, they are exempt from mandatory military service. So there are two golfers, and they're combining to try to win the event, and they are in first place. They have quite the lead, but I'll be following this to see if they will play for exemption.
So they're playing again to be exempt from military service. They need a gold medal to be exempted from military service, is what you're telling me.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot more pressure than just winning a plain gold medal here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that considered like not patriotic if you don't want to do your service that everyone else has to serve? So why,
Yeah.
So there are some individuals who are exempt from that list if you have done a significant amount to bring into your country. So there's Heung-min Son is a huge soccer player. Mm-hmm. He plays for Tottenham. He is one of those people that have been excused because of what he's done to contribute to the country elsewhere. So if you've done enough, they view that as, and that was a whole debate with, obviously BTS is one of the biggest bands and acts in the world, and they weren't exempt from this. So
that's amazing too, because you could have easily built the argument that BTS was doing more good for the world of, Korean image by doing their thing than by serving in the military. You could have built the argument.
The economy thanks them too. Those people buy albums like it's nothing, and that goes straight to their economy. So,
yeah. So we'll watch this, Albert. These two guys are playing for their freedom, is what you're telling me.
In a way, yeah. I guess they are playing for their freedom to play golf for the next the dream.
Right.
Mark.
They don't want to have to do push-ups and run in formation. What? Let me ask you: when does this wrap up? When will we know? Will you know Monday for us?
Yes, it's going to be wrapping up this weekend, so we'll keep a close eye on that and the Ryder Cup. Probably no Ryder Cup updates. That's just for me, but I'll take definitely this. And
the Niners, of course, they're 14-point favorites this weekend on Sunday over the Cards.
I mean, the Cardinals have been very good, so they beat the Cowboys last week. They're sneaky, so.
All right. Thank you, Commish.
The Mark Thompson Show.
If you will stand by with the law and disorder, I will just mention that the UAW seems to be expanding their strike. I'm sure Kim will have that in their news. More walkouts at Ford and GM. There's going to be a whole question about the Diane Feinstein Senate seat. We'll get into that, as I mentioned, the next hour. There is talk of unionization in Illinois, in the House in Illinois. They may literally allow a union to form in the House and Senate legislative body in Illinois. So labor is having a moment, if not everywhere, in the Illinois State House. But again, Kim will have some of the labor news in her news, and we'll also get into the politics more. I'm just looking at law and disorder. I really want to get into it. Albert, are you prepped for some law and disorder?
I am ready.
All right, this is it. It's popping, law and disorder.
In the criminal justice system, the people,
pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care,
are represented by two separate yet equally important groups.
A cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news.
These are their stories.
I'll start with the breaking news of today, which involves a possible watershed moment in the killing of rapper Tupac Shakur.
Oh, yeah.
Man tied to the suspected gunman in 1996 killing of rapper Tupac Shakur indicted on murder charge. One of the last living witnesses to the fatal drive-by shooting of rapper Tupac Shakur in Las Vegas was charged with murder and with use of a deadly weapon. The long-awaited breakthrough in this case has frustrated investigators, this case has, for all these years, fascinated the public. 27 years has passed since that 1996 killing. The grand jury in Nevada indicting Kef D. Is that the way they say it? Dwayne Kef D. Davis? Is that how it's said, Albert? You're the coolest.
I would have said Keef D. But Keef, yeah.
Well, the reason it's not Keef, I would think, is because there's just one E. So it's Keeffe. So it feels like it would be.
I think it's Kef. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So would you like to stand corrected, Kim?
Well, what I'm looking at, the story I'm looking at says Keefe. So I have it written differently. Yeah.
Oh, so
But
I think, Albert, by rule, then she is permitted not to apologize.
Yeah, maybe just to the Asian community. Maybe
you could
just
apologize.
for them. Yeah.
All right, apologize.
And I wanted to apologize to the Asian community, the Asian American community.
It does happen. All right. Anyway, Dwayne Kef D. Davis indicted in the killing of Tupac Shakur. Prosecutors saying it in court just this morning. And apparently they've been seated in this case for several months. They described Davis as on-the-ground, on-site commander who, quote, ordered the death of Tupac Shakur. He was arrested this morning while on a walk near his home. Davis has long been known to investigators, has himself admitted in interviews and in his 2019 tell-all memoir, which is called Compton Street Legend, that he was in the Cadillac from which the gunfire erupted during the September 1996 drive-by shooting. Tupac Shakur was 25 when he died. Vegas police raided that home in mid-July in the Las Vegas suburb of Henderson. That's the home tied to Davis. Police were looking for items, quote, concerning the murder of Tupac Shakur. All these years later, it's unbelievable. Well, they did collect multiple computers, a cell phone, a hard drive, a Vibe magazine that featured Shakur, several .40 caliber bullets, 2, quote, tubs containing photographs, and a copy of Davis's memoir. We'll keep you posted on that case. Also, a judge, as we continue with Law and Disorder, a judge says that she is ending the conservatorship between former NFL player Michael Oher and the Memphis couple that had that conservatorship. Is that how he says his last name, Albert?
Yeah. Oh, Albert.
Okay, it's Oher. Oh, no, it's good, Kim. It's all right. You can get another shot, Kim. Is that the
well, after watching the movie, I think it's Oher. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. All right. All right.
That's correct. Yeah,
Very well.
Kim's right on. Michael
Kim's right.
Oher.
Okay, there you go.
Thank
a Tennessee
Albert.
judge said this morning, this is again just news of this morning, she is ending a conservatorship agreement between former NFL player Michael Oher and a Memphis couple who took him in when he was in high school. But as you know, they've been in a highly publicized dispute over financial issues, and those will likely continue. That's going to happen in another courtroom. Shelby County Probate Court Judge Kathleen Gomes said she's terminating the agreement that was reached in 2004 that allowed Sean and Leanne Toohey to control Oher's finances. Oher signed that agreement when he was 18 and living with the couple as he was being recruited by colleges as a star high school football player. Of course, you know the story because it was the subject of the film The Blind Side. And Sandra Bullock got an Oscar for that film. There's the couple, if you're watching on YouTube, that had this conservatorship.
And I think Michael Oher was saying he thought they adopted him. He didn't realize it was a conservatorship. So he felt like he was kept in the dark on this.
Yeah. A conservatorship removes power from a person to make decisions for themselves, as you know. It's often used in the case of a medical condition or disability. We've talked a little bit about it, and we're going to have the author of a book about conservatorship on next week. But this is an extraordinary case. Essentially, they identified this kid in need. They did take him in. As Kim has said, there was sort of the illusion or the sense or the impression that he was adopted by this couple. Mm-hmm. And as it turns out, it was a conservatorship relationship. And so the argument now, and as I say, it's going on in another courtroom, is that the revenue stream that went into Oher's life actually landed in the Tuohy's bank account. She said, the judge did, that she was disturbed that such an agreement was ever reached. She said she had never seen in her 43-year career a conservatorship agreement reached with someone who was not disabled. And that's typically when conservatorships are in play, right? I cannot believe it got done. That's a quote. Oher and Tuohy's listened by video conference call but did not speak. But Oher filed this petition in probate court accusing the Tuohy's of lying to him by having him sign papers making them his conservators rather than his adoptive parents. Nearly 2 decades ago this all happened. Oher wanted the conservatorship to be terminated, a full accounting of the money earned off his name and story, and he wanted that money to be paid. He used, and as you have heard Kim say, he used the moment to say that he believes that they created this impression that he was adopted, and he was not. It was a conservatorship. Accused fraudster Sam Bankman-Fried is in the joint. He's complaining about conditions in jail.
What?
His lawyers say that he doesn't have internet access to prepare for the trial. And he's accusing the authorities of not providing him with a healthy vegan diet.
What?
Oh, no.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm swinging over to Sam Bankman-Fried's side now. Give the man his vegan food. What's wrong with you people? Apparently, they're forcing him to subsist on bread, water, and peanut butter.
Hey, you know what? It's not a restaurant. You eat what's served. It's prison. Welcome.
Wow. Well,
This is no picnic, no summer camp.
wow, it's really, it's a tough room, Sam. I think Sam Bankman-Fried, Kim's right. It's not a menu. By the same token, I think that they should probably have some vegan options.
Vegan options are bread and peanuts.
How
That's
dare
your
you?
vegan option. Bread and peanuts. If that's your choice, good luck.
Meantime, at the other end of the prison, the blood tester who really wasn't doing any testing, she was doing frauding, Elizabeth Holmes. She supposedly is gal pals with the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City alum, Jen Shaw. How about that? Nice to see those two fraudsters hanging out.
There's never been anything like this.
Jen Shaw is serving time for ripping off people in a telemarketing scam. Elizabeth Holmes is serving time for ripping off investors in a blood testing scam. So apparently the two scamsters get together regularly and are, chatting. They're fast friends.
They exchange notes, Mark. I think they test what they've done and just compare their notes. Yeah.
I see. Trying to build the better beast when they get out.
Nice to have something in common with your friends,
Yeah. And finally, on a very serious note, a judge has ruled that school shooter Ethan Crumbley can be sentenced to life without parole. A Michigan judge ruling today that the Oxford High School shooter Ethan Crumbley can serve life in prison without the possibility of parole. The next appearance in court for him will be December 8th for sentencing. The reason this is significant is that he was just 15 when he shot up, I believe he killed 4 people and injured 4 others. And because of his age, it was argued typically under Michigan law, you can't force him into a prison situation for life without the possibility of parole. They argued it was a disproportionate sentence because of his age. But in the ruling, there is other disturbing evidence. It is clear to this court that the defendant had an obsession with violence before the shooting. It's again from the judge's ruling. So that questioned the possibility that Crumbley could ever be rehabilitated in jail. Quote, the evidence does not demonstrate to this court that he wants to change. Quote, the defendant continues to be obsessed with violence and could not stop his violence in jail. He very possibly will be going away for the rest of his life without the possibility of parole. And that is Law and Disorder for today.
Tune in again next time for more Law and Disorder on The Mark Thompson Show.
All right, that's it. Let's roll. Hey, let's be careful out there.
Well, the fake impeachment proceedings went on, along with now an open seat in California. Gavin Newsom will appoint someone to that seat in the Senate. We'll talk about that with Michael Shure and with Jim Avila. All of that in the second hour. Smash the like button like
Smash
a boss.
it with your iron rod.
It's our 1-year anniversary we're closing in on, and I would remind you, if you haven't already, you should send us a greeting. You don't have to do it, but it's a fun little thing. Cost you nothing. Again, you send the greeting, an audio greeting or video greeting. You send it to us at this show. And again, right there in the bottom of the screen is all the information you need. We'd like it to be less than 30 seconds if you can do it. Send it to happyanniversarymts@gmail.com. Again, it's our 1-year anniversary, and you can send a greeting, a short video or audio. Less than 30 seconds, please. Send it to happyanniversarymts@gmail.com. People are asking about a meetup. We will have a meetup. I'll have information on that next week. But we're so excited that we've made it for a year.
Do you think it's going to be an in-person meetup, or do you think it's going to be an online meetup?
It'll be a virtual meetup.
Okay.
I think that allows more people to participate. That's why. I think, believe me, I love the in-person meetup. And, we used to have that space at the radio station where people could come, and it was really cool, and I look forward to it. But the reality is that now they're just people scattered everywhere, and many people want to participate, and we want it to be open to everyone. If they're in Florida, in Illinois, in Buffalo, New York, we have all of these viewers and listeners all over the place, and I'd like them, if they want, to be able to hang out with us. So we'll do a full 2-hour meetup virtually, but I'll have more information on that. Meantime, send us an anniversary greeting if you want. We've had some good ones. We'll share more of them next week, and we're looking forward to an anniversary celebration, a week-long anniversary celebration coming up later in October. So, with that said, I urge you to smash the like button like a boss. Be cool, everybody.
The Mark Thompson Show.
Kim's News and Friday Fabulous Florida next. Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister, and this report is sponsored by, on this coffee day, Coachella Valley Coffee Company.
Loving it. Had a big cup this morning and drinking it right now, during Kim's report.
Better day to partake of the Coachella Valley coffee than on this coffee day, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, I do want to let you know that the odds of a government shutdown are indeed increasing, sadly. Here we go. The House failed to pass a Republican-led short-term funding bill this afternoon. All Democrats and 21 Republicans voted against the bill that included deep cuts and border provisions as well. So it is looking ever more likely that this shutdown is coming as the clock winds down. President Biden is taking a moment, here he is with Mark Milley, to honor the Joint Chiefs of Staff Chairman Mark Milley during a ceremony today in Arlington, Virginia, President Biden called Milley a scholar and a warrior. Milley was presented with a retirement certification capping more than a 4-decade career in the United States military. The president also addressed the looming government shutdown, saying if the House fails to fund the government, it would hurt troops who would have to continue to work without getting paid. The program included Milley's swearing in of his successor, General Charles Q. Brown. And as Mark had mentioned earlier, there is indeed now a suspect in the 1996 murder of rapper Tupac Shakur, featured on the left. Reports say Las Vegas police arrested Dwayne Keefe D. Davis early this morning and is expected to be indicted later today. Shakur died 6 days after a drive-by shooting that happened while he was in a car at an intersection near the Las Vegas Strip. And again, we do report today the passing of California's longtime Senator, Diane Feinstein. As you heard Mark mention earlier, along with John Rothman, she is the longest serving female U.S. Senator. Diane Feinstein passing away last night at the age of 90, and the flags are lowered to half-staff at the U.S. Capitol. Diane Feinstein's political career reached the national spotlight in 1978 when she became San Francisco's first ever female mayor. Of course, lately she's been battling health issues. There's no word on the official cause of her death at this time. New York Governor Kathy Hochul declaring a state of emergency with torrential rain just pounding the New York area. She says the risk of flooding is very serious and life-threatening. There are numerous roads flooded. The subway system is facing massive disruptions because of this flooding as well. The United Auto Workers once again expanding their strike. UAW President Shawn Fain saying his announcement was delayed this morning after a flurry of activity. And he said Stellantis made big progress moments before he began speaking, but Fain called for 7,000 workers at GM and Ford plants to go on strike. The investigation is underway into the death in San Francisco of a contract worker killed in a trench collapse. Authorities say the worker ended up trapped under about 10 feet of dirt and concrete when this trench collapsed yesterday near Divisadero and Oak Street. Dozens of firefighters tried to pull this man out, but he didn't survive it. The project was a sewer upgrade being managed by the San Francisco Public Works Department. A San Jose man now in custody for allegedly fatally poisoning his elderly mother with fentanyl. Authorities say Bradley Dexter has been arrested and charged with homicide, elder abuse, and other counts as well. His arrest comes nearly 4 months after Dexter's mother was found dead inside of a home in East San Jose. The coroner's office said she'd been intentionally poisoned with fentanyl, and this case is again being investigated as a homicide. Dexter was a person of interest in that case for months before his arrest this week. And as mentioned, today is National Coffee Day. The National Coffee Association says about 2/3 of Americans drink coffee daily and drink on average about 3 cups a day. 3 cups a day of Coachella Valley coffee?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's pretty great.
The FDA says healthy adults can have 4 or 5 cups daily and stay within the recommended caffeine limit.
Yeah. FDA is bought and paid for, but
I guess so.
There's no stopping it. I can't. I really worry. I have so much coffee inside me. I don't know what my insides look like.
Well, let me tell you that studies suggest that moderate coffee intake can help you live longer and help prevent illnesses like heart disease, Parkinson's disease, and even depression as well.
Oh, that's great. Well, I like getting jacked up on the juice. I don't mind telling you. It's legal. I've got a full. I've been doing the French press, Coachella Valley French press. The last month or so, I've been doing a lot of that. I also add a few shots of espresso into the mix from time to time. And we made a mistake. We should have had the folks from Coachella Valley on today.
Call him up. I bet he's coming on really fast. He'll jump right on with us.
Yeah, but we don't have time today. But we'll do it next week.
That's true.
That'd be really great. He's terrific. And as Kim mentioned, CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Order from there. Anything you want off the site, you get 10% off with the code MARKT at checkout. And he's awesome down there at Coachella Valley Coffee. And I would also say that, I'll remind you, all of this stuff, it's hand roasted. All of those beans. I mean, this is, again, a fresh grow. It's first cut. Mm-hmm. It's not stuff that's been sitting around for a while, which is why it's premium coffee. And everything on the site is done with a personal touch. And I've read you some of the emails we've gotten, people who've spoken to that in a lot of different ways. But it's CoachellaValleyCoffee.com. Again, Mark T at checkout for 10% off.
So I will say that because it's coffee day, there's some big discounts at national chains. The biggest discount is apparently at Krispy Kreme. They are offering free coffee all day to promote new coffee blends at Krispy Kreme. But when you think about coffee at Krispy Kreme versus Coachella Valley coffee, there's a big difference in that coffee.
It's true. You're not there for the coffee at Krispy Kreme.
No, you're not.
You're up for the.
You're there for a not crispy donut.
Straight up, right in, no problem.
Exactly. That's the.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
the
I'm
plan
Kim
there.
McAllister. This is the Mark Thompson Show.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know. You want to do the? All right.
They had to close down an entire radio station to silence him. And now he's here.
Hey, which one do you use? Mark Thompson?
Who's Mark Thompson?
The Mark Thompson Show.
I don't know what's going on around here. It's very nice to have everybody in the mix here on National Coffee Day. I didn't even know it was National Coffee Day. Every day is National Coffee Day in our studio. Mm-hmm. That's the way it works. How about it for another? Is there any business I need to do before we get into Florida? We're running way behind, so I probably should get into it right away, right? Albert.
Yeah, quick Kathleen Bryant with $20. I'm not sure if we got to this earlier.
Kathleen Bryant with a super sticker for $20. Come on now.
Big shout out.
Big shout out to Kathleen Bryant. KB. What up, KB?
Big shout out.
Yeah, and then Marilyn earlier with $5.
Marilyn, you're awesome. Thank you so much. Or as I like to say, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Very cool on a Friday. Appreciate that as we finish up our first year. Actually, the guy who's joining us, instrumental getting us up and going in our first year. Yeah.
Fabulous Producer John Daly.
And he was the producer at the time, and he is still producing and now co-hosting the Party Live show, which follows ours. How about it for John Daly, everyone?
Yay!
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
All right. Look at you.
Diane Feinstein was mayor here in San Francisco when I was born. And not many people know this, but Dick Blum actually delivered me.
Is that right?
No.
What?
He's not a doctor, unless you were born on the sidewalk.
I thought it was some kind of one of those like shaman things.
But they were celebrating their first 4th of July, as mayor and first husband. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I was born here in San Francisco. Diane Feinstein leaving the Senate and Tupac's potential murderer being arrested. Two things that should have happened a long time ago.
Right. Very true, John. Yeah. John comes with the
snark.
With the snark, but current material. He's like Michael Snyder that way. Brings the the material of the day.
Fabulous
Michael Snyder without the ding words.
Yes, without the ding words. He gets right.
But I do have
it.
my KJO shirt.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Bravo. Well, John, just because it's you, I'll spend just 30 seconds saying that as we finish up we're going to do a meetup, so you'll get a chance maybe to see everybody if you decide to join our meetup. But we'll do a virtual meetup here for our anniversary.
We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. But I really want to thank you again because it was a scramble, and you helped me through a lot of that scramble.
Of texting everybody on the KJO text line. I almost lost a finger.
It was truly crazy, and John did help. He used the straw that stirred the drink, so appreciate that. All right, Albert is the curator.
Of
this segment, and he never disappoints. This is Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
Well, into the mix we go. And a Florida man is accused a cyclist of being with the CIA.
Oh.
Tried headbutting police and then defiantly said, "Take me to jail." Two 911 calls are placed regarding a hit and run, a car doing donuts in a parking lot, and a man whose bike was run over by a reckless driver. This all happened in Jupiter, Florida. The driver, 31-year-old Jesse Ray Martinez, was found by authorities on the side of South Coastal Highway in his SUV. When they found him, there was a strong odor of, anybody guess what the odor was?
Marijuana.
Emanating from the vehicle.
Where are my weed smokers at?
No, more...
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol
exactly.
involved.
It was alcohol involved. Yeah. Exactly.
So
the
who's
arrest
with
report...
the CIA in the story?
Well, stand by. We'll get to the CIA. He was kicking, he was headbutting, and he violently made threats of additional violence.
Yeah, that doesn't seem marijuana related.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when you've got that fight in you, it's more usually
Unless
alcohol
it's,
fueled.
Laced.
You're a nasty drunk is what you are, right?
The 34-year-old bicyclist, Blaze Aaron Steinbach, who claimed he was nearly run over by the guy, explained that he was just sitting on his bike underneath the US 1 bridge in the Harborside Place parking lot. You know Harborside Place, John.
Yeah, it's right there. That's the same shopping center.
Yeah. Martinez drove by him making accusations out of nowhere that the bicyclist, Steinbach, was working with the CIA.
Oh, okay, got it.
The driver rode away recklessly and returned multiple times. Upon one return, apparently, he supposedly ran down the bicyclist, Steinbach, causing him to leap out of the way and leave his bike to be hit. The
John's
DUI
comment, that's funny.
The DUI investigation in which Martinez reportedly failed every task. In the heel-to-toe test, he missed touching his heel-to-toe on every step. Yeah.
Imagine if he did do it and they just let him free. That would be pretty cool.
Like to detain you, but you touch your toe every time. Nice job.
Well,
F you, he said.
Oh.
To the officer.
That's
Take
not
me
gonna
to jail, he said.
score you any
And F
points.
you.
Oh.
Yeah. Wow.
Why are you yelling?
That ought to do it. Off to jail you go.
With all of his limbs bound and headed to jail, he had one more thing planned for the cops, Kim.
No.
He tried headbutting the officials.
What?
Yeah.
That's a
good
strong
move.
finish.
Placed in the back of the patrol car, they found alcohol and a metal grinder containing marijuana in his SUV.
Oh, I wasn't too far off.
Yeah, but that wasn't the smell we were looking for. But you're right. There was.
I'm sure there was a little bit of.
We'll award a couple of points. Yeah. All right. Okay. Apparently, he made several violent, strange threats to officers when he was in custody. One of his threats was that he would have his family and friends in Juarez, Mexico, find the officer, and nothing good was going to
I think he was
happen.
right to suspect the guy on the bicycle because, who rides their bike in Florida?
Oh,
right? That's suspicious. He's obviously with the CIA, and his name is Blaze?
Yeah. Well, there is that. I don't know the name.
Come on.
All right.
Obviously.
A rabid otter is now affecting Floridians. A Florida man was bitten by this rabid otter 41 times while he was feeding birds.
Wow, that's a lot.
The sickened animal chased 74-year-old Joseph Scaglione, bit him repeatedly, then latched onto his right hand for 5 minutes. It was touch and go, wasn't it, Albert? Otters are known for being cute and cuddly. They hold hands as they float peacefully. What happened? Well, this is a sick animal. Rabid otter attacking this Florida man. Palm Beach County Animal Care and Control responded to the calls. And now the otter has been taken into custody.
Was he drug tested?
There was no drug test.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol
I don't
involved.
think so. I've just told you he's rabid, the animal.
Oh, okay.
So
well, it's Florida. There are a lot of rabid people and creatures
that's true.
down there.
There was a reason that he was that way.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
Okay.
They'll attack if for rabies, but also I've heard of attacks where if you encroach on a space where a mother has a mother otter has her children, that she will also defend as well. And I've heard of otter attacks that way too.
Oh,
yeah.
Right now it's mating season, and they're hungry.
Oh, well, there you go. So there might be things other than just the rabies involved.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. A seemingly half-naked woman strolls through the Florida airport.
Seemingly?
Wow. I know. The seemingly jumps out at me, too. It's a viral video that Albert will show you, and you'll be able to decide for yourself why they say seemingly.
Yeah.
She had one hand placed on her suitcase as she stared straight ahead.
Is that code?
It's as I say, she was standing in line at Spirit Airlines.
Oh.
Yeah. In the Florida Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport. She was wearing an orange halter neck dress that appeared to have been hiked up, exposing her lower cheeks. That's why they say seemingly
her lower cheeks.
There
It
she
was
is. It's
unintentional,
blurred,
Your Honor.
Why she just wants everyone to see her tush?
It just rides up. She can't help it.
Yeah, when you've got the ride, you can't help it.
Got it? Flaunt it.
There's a
look at her
reason
arms.
that this place is fun.
I guess.
Look at her elbows. She's holding her dress up on purpose. What is she doing?
You're saying she's hiking it up on purpose?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
She's
not
got
cool.
stuff in one arm and.
Did you really just do that?
I mean, I can't approve of it, and I know who wouldn't approve of it would be.
What the hell is going
Ron.
on in the United States of America?
Ron would not like it at all.
If we can see the backside, then what are they looking at on the front side? The people walking toward her are like, "Whoa, good morning."
Yeah,
you know what?
You're right.
Things got to breathe.
All right. Meantime, on the other side of the state, a Florida man is on the loose after breaking out of handcuffs and escaping from a police car. Come on.
I love it.
Classic.
Yeah, me too.
Not his fault they didn't put the handcuffs on correctly.
Yeah, you guys,
fell down on the job.
Right. And
They do this to me all the time. I don't know what the hell they do it for.
A man is on the loose in Gulf Breeze, Florida. He was arrested and escaped from a cop car. Dmitry Glushko, 40 years old, arrested for an outstanding warrant during a traffic stop.
And Gulf Breeze, Florida sounds like such a nice place.
Yeah, it probably is a nice place. Once in a while, Dmitry Glushkos get into the mix.
and
if there's going to be a warrant, you want it to be outstanding.
That is true. Everything you want is outstanding. He told the officers he was having a hard time. It was hot in the back of the car. So the officers did what? They kindly lowered the window down a bit. At some point, after he slipped that cuff, he was keeping an eye on officers. He reached out the window with one hand. He was able to reach the handle and pop the door. Wow.
This thing is ready to pop,
people.
Yeah.
Or I thought you couldn't open them.
From the outside, you can.
Yeah.
Oh, without a key? You just pop it open?
Yeah, you can open
What if
a
your accomplice is just like outside the police?
Well,
If
usually
the window's
it's not,
down,
yeah.
you could reach right outside and boom, there you go.
Yeah. They may be rethinking it, John. Maybe they'll redesign it.
We need new technology.
Maybe you could help them with that.
I will.
With the redesign.
Also, Mark, you're a little too familiar with this. Do you have any experiences in a cop car?
He did a ride along recently. He was in the backseat,
Yeah,
right?
I was in the back seat.
And he popped the door open.
Right. You never know. That was his
Get
plan.
me, Kappas.
Yeah. Anyway, he was able to reach the handle, pop the door, and saw the officers with their backs to him, and he ran away from the scene. Wow.
What can you tell us about the scene?
Well, he ran away from it, Larry. That's what I can tell you.
It's off in the distance.
A viral three-legged bear that enjoyed White Claws returns to another Florida home to open another fridge.
Wow, a sequel.
Yeah.
This is a franchise
Tripod,
now.
the three-legged bear who recently went viral for opening a fridge and drinking 3 White Claws, was featured here on Friday Fabulous Florida. Spotted once again on camera in the backyard of another Central Valley home. The new video shows the three-legged bear going onto another porch of a home in Heathrow, Florida. The man who lives there took this video. It shows the bear wandering around, getting a little curious.
Oh.
Then, I know they look cute. I understand they're scary.
Until
but
they kill
just
you, yeah.
Right. Although I think they're really just looking for food, at that point. And they're not looking for the kind of food that, like is your flesh. They're looking for, the easy stuff. So anyway, you can see now if you're watching on YouTube, he locates the refrigerator, opened it up before wandering off. This is at least the third time that we've heard of this bear opening up the fridge. In previous instances, has taken some adult beverages. In this case, opened up the fridge but did not grab anything.
Do you think he saw himself on TV and he's like he got bitten by fame?
I
know
see.
what it's like, Mark.
Could be.
You get a little taste.
Right. Hey, it's
I'd
me.
be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
Hello, ladies.
Well, there is definitely alcohol involved. But you're right. John's got a thought, Hey, everybody.
Celebrity.
Tripod here, everybody. How you doing?
You know what?
Yeah,
Kind of a big deal.
Maybe you read about me, saw my viral video. Yeah. Florida man arrested for pointing a bow and arrow at people in a parking lot.
No.
All right, without even looking.
No.
Meth or alcohol? I think meth on this one. I don't know.
Maybe
cocaine. Very
cocaine.
efficient and very quick with the meth.
Claremont, Florida is where this all goes down. A man arrested after allegedly, we have to say that,
bath salts?
Bath salts is a very kind of classic old school way to go.
Right.
Aimed a bow and arrow at people in the parking lot of a Claremont gym. According to the cops, 34-year-old Matthew Del Pino, you can see him there if you're watching on YouTube, discovered by police shirtless near his vehicle in the parking lot of Planet Fitness. Hey, he just got out of the gym. He looks good. He's a ripper. Police records say that the cops detained him while launching an investigation. During the course of their inquiry, an investigation and an inquiry, they located a bow and arrow in a nearby grass median. He admitted to firing the bow and arrow once, but denied pointing it at anyone. But two occupants in another vehicle told cops that they witnessed Del Pino waving that bow and arrow menacingly and directing it toward them, maintaining a prolonged, unsettling stare. He was arrested on a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, without intent to kill. Anyway, he's being held with, the bond is only $2,000.
That's all for a bow and arrow at people, waving it around menacingly?
That's why I mentioned it. It seems kind of low.
It's affordable.
Yeah. A Florida woman's
You're going to commit a crime. There you go. That's the one.
Well, Planet Fitness's slogan, no judgments.
In Orlando, health, exercise, and good genetics are all things to keep in mind to hopefully live a long, healthy life. But there is one more, apparently, to add to that list. A new 100-year-old gal named Mildred Kirchenbaum lives in Boca Raton, Florida, recently celebrated her 100th birthday. And she says, don't spend your life being. What is the, Albert, help me. It's a word that starts with a B, ends with an ing. I wonder if you could help us with clues.
Oh, I was just going to say it, but
is it boinking? What is it?
It's the female dog one that the people like to say.
Don't spend your life bitching?
Yeah. Yep. Oh, yes,
Okay.
Kim.
Can I not say that?
I don't understand why.
Kim, how are you?
Why is that such a bad thing to say? Don't
I
spend
don't
your
know.
life
They even bleeped it out in the broadcast.
Oh my god.
Oh, are we gonna get demonetized because I have a potty mouth?
No, we'll get demonetized for other reasons. Don't worry about it. The Friday show never gets monetized. We get all of the super stickers and super chats, but there's no monetization.
Yeah.
Because look, we talk about meth and alcohol. They don't want that.
You got very receptive commenters. Everybody got it. So thank you, everybody.
Oh, everybody got it on the chat. All right, that's cool. Don't sweat the small stuff, she says. The 100-year-old says, what can I tell you? That's the way you live life. There's one road. Don't look back. Don't spend your life bitching. Wow. Most people spend half their lives complaining. I ignore them, she says. Mildred's celebrating her 100th birthday. She was born in Brooklyn in 1923. She still has the Brooklyn accent.
Yeah.
She's a card shark. She plays bridge, canasta, and mahjong. She's a whiz at managing finances. Wow, she does a lot.
So she's a positive attitude, and
Yep.
she keeps her mind sharp with the cards and the finances and all that rest of it. Yeah.
Maybe
That's
she works
exactly
with
right.
Joe Box. You know,
Yeah.
got those New York ties.
I guess. It is true.
She's
She
the,
does
she's
fit.
the brains of the
and
operation.
little Anthony.
Yeah.
She's got the finances done.
And finally, word out of Disney.
Uh-oh.
A Polk County teacher and Disney employees are among the 219 arrested in a human trafficking-focused bust out of
Disney
Winter Haven,
employees?
Florida.
Oh.
3 Disney employees and a high school teacher and coach were among more than 200 arrested in this week-long undercover human trafficking operation. Hope it was they're trying to bust it up.
What the hell
Polk
is going
County.
on in the United States of America?
83 suspects arrested for soliciting a prostitute and traveling to the undercover location to negotiate having sex in exchange for money. 17 other suspects were arrested, and out of those, 5 were either deriving proceeds from prostitution or aiding and abetting prostitutes, and 8 drove the prostitutes to the undercover location. The sheriff, you may remember, Polk County, is Sheriff Grady Judd.
Yeah, baby.
Sheriff Judd always serves up the good quotes. Let's see what his quote is here.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
That's not what he said. He said, you always think of the guys being human traffickers, but she is the one facing a felony charge. You always think of guys being the human traffickers, he's saying. But she is the one facing a felony charge, which is 30 years in prison. She is the one that was setting the appointment. She's the one that was prostituting 2 young ladies. She was taking 60 to 70% of their money. And then he says, she met the victims online, claiming she was looking for people to work in construction. And then he said, quote, they were going to construct sexual encounters.
Oh, there it is. There
That's
it
our
is.
Grady. Yeah.
He also
mentioned
said
what the
about the high school coach, said this dude now is coaching in the county jail. I can't believe
that's our Grady.
around our children. Yep.
That's our
Did
Grady.
they mention where the undercover location was, the secret location? Was it Disneyland or Disney World?
No. They didn't mention it.
I didn't find any of the words "happiest place on earth" in this article.
Yeah,
John.
they're happy is mentioned in a different
Maybe it was
context.
Club 33 there at Disney World.
Yeah. I wanted to see if there were any good other Grady quotes.
Oh, they're coming next week.
One of the guys who was arrested said this, hey, man, it's not illegal to cheat on your wife. Hey, give a brother a break, okay? Look, we don't want to do it, but we have to. Of those stories we've just heard, we have to pick a favorite, and there's not a lot of time to do it. But here they are, just a quick reminder of what you've heard. The Florida man is accused of running over a cyclist, and he yelled that the cyclist was part of the CIA. He tried headbutting cops, and he told the officers, F you, take me to jail. The rabid otter who bites the Florida man 41 times while the Florida man was feeding birds. The half-naked woman strolling through Florida's airport. The Polk County teacher and the Disney employees among the 219 arrested in the human trafficking-focused bust. The Florida man on the loose after breaking out of handcuffs and escaping the police car. The viral 3-legged bear enjoying White Claws, but this time just opening another fridge and deciding to move on. The Florida man arrested for pointing the bow and arrow at people in the parking lot outside the gym. And the Florida woman's hilarious secret to living to 100 years old, just stop bitching. What is your favorite, I ask you, Fabulous Producer John Daly?
Fabulous Producer John Daly.
I like the potentially methy bow and arrow. I also like CIA cyclist because I like a good conspiracy theory. But I think I have to go with the Tripod sequel because I see franchise possibilities.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Tripod sequel, The Bear. Yeah. How about you? How about you, Kim?
I like the guy who
Kim, how are you?
Reached around and unlocked the door, the police cop, the door of the police car, and he's my guy.
Kim likes to reach around.
And Albert, how about you? What was your favorite? You curated it.
Yeah, so Tripod's in the lead right now in the polls. 54%
Albert,
of
thank
the
you.
vote.
Yeah.
I do. Like
what was the percentage, Albert? I'm sorry, on the vote.
56% as we speak
Okay.
for Tripod. So that's over half.
I'm telling you, ticket sales.
I really like the first guy. I feel like he hit criminal bingo early on in the story, and he might have circled around and won a second game of bingo. He just kept on adding to the things he was doing. So
it is true. Yeah.
I love it.
All right. He likes the guy who runs over the bicyclists, accuses him of being with the CIA, tells the officers to F off, headbutts them. Yeah, it's very strong. I'm with Kim on this one, though. I mean, for pure inventiveness, I think I have a little bit of a lean toward people who escape custody. And so I am going with the guy who escaped the cop cars. So, yeah. Albert, well curated, sir. And that is Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now here.
Special thanks to our pal John Daly. We'll look forward to seeing you on the after party live. And
see you later.
Yeah, it's going.
We'll do it live.
Yeah.
I can go write it,
and we'll do it live. And John, thank you again for all your help getting us going
of
on
course,
this 1 year journey.
It's an auspicious occasion.
Auspicious is a ding word. Thank you, John
Daly.
Daly.
Word you're getting.
Love it.
See you
I love
soon.
it. Yeah.
The Mark Thompson Show.
As is often the case on Fridays, we're just so packed with stuff that we will do a supersized news bottom of the hour, the next hour. But we're already into the next hour, which is our second hour. And so glad that these two guys join us, and they really set us straight on so many things related to the world of politics and government. He's the award-winning journalist, former senior correspondent at ABC News. How about it for Jim Avila?
Good morning,
and this
Mark.
other guy has forgotten more about politics than most of us will ever know. You see him reporting from all over the world and all over the country, from Trump rallies, from covering Biden and the like. He is the great Michael Shure. Gentlemen,
Yes.
we did a chunk on Feinstein and her significance with somebody who knew her well in the first hour, but I wonder if you could speak to the significance of that seat and what happens now relative to, I don't mean to skip over the other, but I'm just trying to acknowledge that we sort of did a lot on it in the first hour and we have limited time. But Michael, what happens to that seat in California that Diane Feinstein used to occupy?
Well, ordinarily, the governor of any state who has to replace a senator would sort of make it a little bit more deliberate. But the Senate is telling Gavin Newsom, both Chuck Schumer and other members of the Senate, he's got to make this decision quickly because there is a lot in front of the Senate right now, especially when you look at the shutdown. They need that vote on the Senate floor. The Democrats know it, and they're pressing Newsom to make a decision. So I'd imagine we're going to hear very quickly who it's going to be. And Newsom himself kind of in a tight spot because he had assured people that an African-American woman was going to be named to the seat, but there's a Senate race already going on that has Barbara Lee in it, the African-American woman who is a member of Congress from the Oakland area, also has Adam Schiff and Katie Porter. While Lee is trailing, I don't think that Newsom really wants to step on the scale a little bit, tilt the scales here. So he will likely nominate someone or appoint someone for that Senate seat who is African-American, who is a woman, but who is not Barbara Lee, because he doesn't want to meddle in that race. And she would presumably have higher profile and come in as an incumbent in a race and would be perceived as unfair. So the people that are out there, there's Shirley Weber, who is the Secretary of State. There's kind of a dark horse who I think LaFonza Butler, who is the head of Emily's List and is somebody who the governor knows and has been kind of in sort of Newsom land for a while, might be somebody that he names. I think he's going to go for a caretaker and not for somebody who wants that seat for the next foreseeable 2, 3, 4 terms. That's not what he wants to do.
I just want to ask you, we'll now move on to the government thing and the government shutdown, but real quick, Jim Avila, why do we see this kind of thing more from the Democrats where they announce, I'm going to appoint a woman of color or, this kind of, it feels like virtue signaling to me. Why do we see it so often?
It's their constituency, Mark. It's okay. The Republicans don't have anybody they don't have any real African Americans, or many of them, so they don't have that issue. The reason why is because African Americans got Joe Biden elected. They're a very important constituency of the Democratic Party. I don't think there's anything virtue signaling about that. It's practical politics. I do want to stop just for a second, and Michael covered very well. I agree with everything he said about what happens next. To talk a little bit about Diane Feinstein and the fact that she had 60 years of stellar service to her country. And the last 4 or 5 years, because of selfishness of herself and mostly of her staff, that legacy has been dimmed a bit. And it's really a shame. You know, I was a young reporter in San Francisco at KPIX when Harvey Milk was killed and George Moscone was killed, covered their funerals, covered the riot outside when Dan White was acquitted because of insanity, the Twinkie defense. All that really came back to me today about how she stepped up during that time and was this calm. She was head of the Board of Supervisors at the time, for those of you who don't remember it. And she stood tall. There were very few women in power in those days, okay? But here's this woman who, with model-like looks and a calm demeanor and sophisticated, and she came out and she calmed the city at a time when there were riots in the street. They nearly burned down City Hall. They were burning cop cars in front. So it was a crazy time. And her legacy began then, and I'm really bothered by how it has been sullied because of the conduct in the last 4 or 5 years.
Well, I love that you recreate a bit of that crisis, which I mentioned that she rose to prominence in the city in crisis, but you really put a face on it. Let me just, I was not a fan at all. I mean, I called for her resignation, et cetera. But I have to say, though, even as I did, it was a mixed emotion because she did perform a pretty important role, even in this sort of, prop her up and tell her what to do kind of, I'm sorry to put it that way, but I mean, she really seemed out of it at times because the confirmations in the judiciary were really critical. And without her, you don't get them. Isn't that right, Michael Shure?
Well, that's true. And what Jim says, I mean, obviously his perspective is unique, but what he's saying is that's important is that these past 4 or 5 years, she has not done justice to her legacy. And it's really difficult because she did, and she was active on so many issues, particularly on guns, when it was not a popular issue nationally. And she took the lead on that. She was even mentioned at times for the vice presidency because of her, sort of bold positions and her prominence, I would say, in the wake of the Moscone and Milk killing. So I understand why you might not have liked her, but when she was all of herself, she was a really effective and important senator, and she was an important senator for women too. And going, just adding on to your thing about saying, why do we say we have to have a black woman senator, and why, that is discomforting to a lot of people. But in the Democratic Party, it's a big constituency that makes demands, and rightly so. And a lot of those demands are to create and appoint people who are different than what's been there before. And that's why you got Alex Padilla from Gavin Newsom after Kamala Harris became the vice president. And it's why I think it will continue. And once you make the promise, of course, you can't go back on it. It was something that President Biden said when he was a candidate about a Supreme Court justice. And then you got Ketanji Brown Jackson. So there is, I don't think people are as upset about it. Also, California, to have a Latino representing you in the Senate is important for many Californians because of the population. And in this case, I don't think it's going to be Lee, but I do think it's going to be an African-American woman, particularly because Maxine Waters is saying, I don't want it, but he said this is what he's going to do. He's in a position where he can't let down that constituency now.
I guess the only point I was making is you can make whatever decision you want. You can make the decision and always make the decision and respect those constituencies without having to announce it ahead of time in the ways that you suggest. It does limit you. Let me ask you about what's happening with the government. It literally will, we're at the 0 hour, right? Midnight tomorrow. what happens? What are the realities? What are the realities about turning the lights back on? Jim Avila?
Well, it does look like in Congress this morning, Kevin McCarthy's last-ditch effort to keep the government open was shot down again by some. I think was 19 Republicans. And the problem is that he could put something together where Democrats might vote for it and keep it open. But if he does that, if Democrats vote for it, then he's sunk. All it takes now, because of all the things that he agreed to with these crazies on the right, is one of them to raise their hand and call for a vacation to vacate the chair. And so that means he's voted out. He's out with one vote. And then there has to be another vote to replace him. And we all remember how hard it was for him to get into office in the first place. It took 15 votes. So it's total chaos. It doesn't look like there's a solution. The Senate is even having trouble passing its own version to keep it open. And, it's really going to hurt the country. It's really going to hurt federal workers. It's going to hurt people who, the one that was voted down today would have taken away support for single moms and children. What they're doing out there is really harmful and has real effects on people's lives. This is an issue that is important that people pay attention to, although it's hard to because this happens so frequently that people get, numb to it and think like us. Even Michael and I didn't believe that this was going to happen. But it looks like it is, and we better pay attention.
Michael, I know we're going to lose you in a minute. I wonder if you could just weigh in on this and handicap for us, please, the politics and the likelihood that the government will reopen on any kind of timely basis.
Yeah, I mean, I think once it happens, and this also speaks to the urgency of Newsom naming a replacement, because it is going to go to the Senate, and the Senate is going to have to be dealing with this. And on its surface, it's something that this Senate wouldn't support, but you do need all the votes, and you don't know about certain votes on certain issues. The other side of the coin here is that eventually the Freedom Caucus and the far right within the House caucus in the House Republican caucus is going to be the boy who cried wolf to an extent if they don't do something. And they keep getting closer to doing something about McCarthy, but in the end, they seem to always fold enough of them anyway so that McCarthy gets where he's going. But it is not going to be easy, and what Jim said is true. They're going to be this is affecting programs that are affecting people, and once that's realized, and once, generally speaking, with these shutdowns, once the public, once they put their finger in the wind and they feel the way the public is going on this thing, they usually relent. And I think this one is going to hit people very, very hard. It's not something you want in an election season. It's not something you want ahead of a presidential race. And it's not something you want as a distraction from the other things that you're trying to do. So I see this as either settling or settling quickly once it's deemed that it's a disaster for the people that shut it down.
Quick follow-up on that, and because I know you do have to leave. Is it a net negative then for these people who are involved, these extremists, or are they burnishing their image with this in a positive way? And how about in the swing states? And in other words, what are the political reverberations or ripple effects of this in terms of the coming election?
I mean, amongst their constituents, it doesn't really matter. They're there because they elected these people, so they know what they're getting with them. And the people like Eli Crane and Andy Biggs and Andy Ogles, and I'm throwing names at you that you may not know, but these are people that are on that far right that are really sticking it to McCarthy. Eli Crane didn't vote for McCarthy even after others acquiesced during the election. So there are people there that are hard right, and they were elected because they're hard right. But I think in the grand scheme of things, look, I don't think anyone's going to go to the ballot box next November and talk about the shutdown. But if in the immediate, it hurts the Republican brand, it further divides them. And if that has a cumulative effect of division on them, then it does hurt going forward, not because of what this is, but because of the division it creates.
I know you got to go. Thank you for being here. And I know you're off to an exotic port of call or a rally of some kind that you have to cover.
Or St. Louis, but yeah. Okay.
See you, pal. All right, Michael Shure.
See you, Michael.
Jim, let me follow up on that with you, though, because this is a big deal, and there are effects across the board. You've mentioned, those who desperately need government assistance are going to lose it. And that's part of the scheme. Shut the whole government down so there is no more money for Ukraine, no more money for child health care, this sort of thing. The question then becomes, but there are also other effects, and that's where there might be blowback. I mean, the airports, it affects the air traffic controllers, TSA, transportation of all sorts. It affects the national parks. It affects everything in the way of Social Security and these government institutions that we've grown to. When I say everything in the way of, I reviewed yesterday that those who are in the Social Security system already will get their checks, but those who are being process now, they will not get their checks. They will not get their benefits. Speak to the ripple effects beyond just those that you've mentioned.
Well, I think one of the biggest ones that's really going to backfire on the Republicans is Ukraine. They're making that a big deal. The Republicans, many of them on the right, far right, are saying that they don't want money going to Ukraine. These are the people the Ronald Reagan's party, who isolated Russia and made Russia the really bad, evil guys, portrayed them as such, and ran on that. And now the Republicans are allowing Putin, will allow Putin to overrun Ukraine if we don't continue to support them. I don't think that's a very popular issue among Americans, and I think independents will look upon it poorly, and the polls all show it in the next election. So I think that they're shooting them, they continually shoot themselves in the foot. They haven't won a real election, a big election, in years. And they're setting themselves up for another defeat. It's not inner city blacks who get welfare. We've proven that over and over. It's the Appalachian mom. It's the mom, the white mom with the kids who are not going to get their payments to feed their children. It's not. They're affecting their own voters. Their own voters are the ones who have Obamacare. It is just self-mutilating, and they continue to do it. And that's why the Republican Party continues to be a minority party. Now, Donald Trump is able to step out of that because of his personality and because of the way that his entertainment value, and makes him. But Biden is again pulling up in the polls. It's again even, and I think that once we get down to it, nobody's going to vote for Trump again. I mean, it's not going to happen. But but Biden has his own issues, and so that's been a problem, and it's tighter than it should be because of that. But he came out, strong against Trump yesterday. A very strong speech about democracy. Democracy was abortion and democracy, and student loans. That were the three things that really helped the Democrats in the last election, and he's doing exactly what's right in this next election on those issues.
And it's interesting also that this narrative that Biden is sort of losing it, and he's out of it. It's all his staff. I mean, that's the narrative on the far right. But you see it bubbling up, and Washington Post, New York Times. These are from Biden too old to serve. I see Trump losing it a lot on the stump. Not sure of what the hell he's saying. He speaks like a Gatling gun. It just keeps on coming out. But a lot of what he says is a little untethered, and has been for some time. I don't see the media picking up that narrative the way they do the Biden narrative.
Well, what they're doing now is, again, false equivalency, okay? Joe Biden has a stutter. Joe Biden may trip once in a while because he's had some feet issues that change his shoes a little bit. But he isn't fomenting insurrection, okay? And he isn't calling for the murder of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Those are more than gaffes, okay? Right. Those are more than tripping over your words, although he does that too. And it's unfortunate that, the New York Times does this a lot. The Post a little less, but in some ways they do, where every time they do a story about Trump saying something like that, they put Biden in the headline too, to equate them. And it's really not fair, and it's really not right. And, Donald Trump, I will take a guy who trips once in a while over a guy who leads an insurrection and who calls for the death of the Joint Chiefs of Staff over any day. It's not comparative.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. Hey, it's not what it's not what he says. This doddering guy. Although I don't believe that. I think that's way overplayed, as I've just said.
Yeah.
But it's.
I think you have to go back to the State of the Union, Mark. You go back to the State of the Union, and he was ad-libbing during the State of the Union, and and he nailed the Republicans. Okay, that shows some mental acuity
Sure.
to me. That was not on the prompter. And in fact, he does better sometimes with his prompter. Now, does he embellish? Yeah, I mean, okay, he's got some issues. I agree with that. He's not my favorite candidate. But, when you compare him against Donald Trump, then there's no comparison.
Randy says this: Biden just looks like a doddering old man. Trump just seems unhinged. I don't think he looks like a doddering old man. I'll give you, though, I think Jim said it right. He embellishes stuff, but he doesn't seem doddering to me. I think that overstates it, but I get your point. Let me give you, let's say it is Biden doddering and Trump unhinged. As Jim says, leading an insurrection and an overthrow. Come on. I mean, give me the doddering all day, And
he rides a bike. I think he's in much better shape than Donald Trump. Somebody the other day on Twitter put real-time video of Trump going up the stairs to his plane and Biden going up the stairs in his plane. I don't know if you saw that. But Biden was way ahead. Okay, yeah. Biden reached the door way before Donald Trump did. Donald Trump is an older, fat, out of shape, non-athletic guy who cheats in his golf score. Joe Biden, is an 80-year-old guy who still rides a bike long distances. I see him running once in a while on the portico of the White House from one place to another. He's fine. My concern about Joe Biden is that at 80 years old, the chances of you having something happen, getting sick, a stroke, a heart attack, those type of things are higher than they are for a younger person. That's my concern, that it would throw the nation into a real problem. I have no problem with Kamala Harris, as other people do, but I think Kamala would be fine. But I still think that it would put us in, and if it happens before the election, then it really throws things into chaos, which I don't want to see.
We've got to wrap up, but I love that you touched on this. We'd really gone through the entire show without mentioning Trump, but he is worthy of mention. We really set straight everybody yesterday. I'll recommend, if you haven't, you should check out the video that we did with David Katz. David Katz was in yesterday. He's the former federal prosecutor, now working the defense side of the table, talking about the fact that the Trump organization and Trump's properties will continue to still exist, even with these judges' rulings that are likely to come through the pipeline. And there might even be tremendous penalties, but Trump will not be in control of them anymore, and Trump and his kids will not be in control of them anymore. So that's an important distinction, because there's a notion that ding dong, the witch is dead, Trump's out of business, he's going to be broke, he's going to be living on the street and, passing the hat. That's just not what's going to happen. No. So, but he does have an uphill climb legally, and he is going to be in court, right, Jim, even as this election season ramps up.
Yeah, and he loses every court. Every time he goes to court, he loses. I mean, it's just, he was so tired of winning, is what he used to say. And, he doesn't win ever in court. And the other thing to mention, very briefly, I know you've got to go, but is that crap show that was on TV yesterday. I happened to watch most of it, of the Republicans in their impeachment inquiry, where their own witnesses said there's no evidence to impeach Joe Biden. Even even the Republican, the guy who's on Fox, legal expert, said no, there's nothing there to impeach him at this time. So, and the Republicans themselves, who are not on that committee, were like shaking their heads, and there may not even be another hearing because it was so bad. They're.
Well, I should say this, don't mean to interrupt, Jim, but, as we are here on the brink of closing down the government, they only keep essential workers on the job. But what have they now deemed essential by special decree? those working on the Biden impeachment. They'll continue to draw checks. They will continue to draw checks weekly. They won't have to wait for their money. It's outrageous. And as you say, there is just no there there. It's pure politics and brutal. Yeah, and embarrassing.
If Hunter Biden was running for president, I would not vote for him. Right. But he is not. Yeah. He's a drug-addled. I feel sorry for him, and I hope his recovery works. He's paid back the taxes. He's gonna serve some kind of penalty, whether it's probation or whatever, and they should give him whatever he deserves. But his father has only been guilty so far that we know of, and there's been 5 years of investigation by a Republican U.S. attorney that so far he's only been guilty of loving his son.
Here's a quick question on the way out. Please ask prediction for next speaker. Well, the thing that we touched on was the fact that they keep talking about the removal of Kevin McCarthy, but the reality is there may not be a removal of Kevin McCarthy. Is there a sense as to who would replace Kevin McCarthy?
Well, one of his lieutenants, and his name is it Eder or something like that, has been mentioned, and Scalise has been mentioned.
Both of whom I think say no. No, they
don't want it.
They don't want it
because they're in
right.
his camp.
Right.
But the truth is, I think what you're saying, Mark, is that actually the right kind of likes where they have Kevin McCarthy. He's like a punching bag. They just push him around. Do they really want to take that final step and evict him from office? He's in their pocket. What's interesting too is Marjorie Taylor Greene voted against his stopgap measure today, and she's been his big supporter. So they're just in disarray. It's just I don't think they can get together to find a new person.
Sadly, there's a real human cost to all of this, and there's a cost to the nation, and there's a cost to the credit rating, and all the things that we've detailed along the way, and we'll continue to. Jim, thanks so much. We'll talk to you next week when you have a new column. I think it's probably Tuesday. You'll have something, so look forward to that. Jim Avila, everybody. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, love it.
The Mark Thompson Show.
It's our Friday show. If you're just joining us, we are a show that came from the radio, moved to YouTube about a year ago, and we're really excited to have all of you here. Many of you were with us at the very beginning. That's really cool. And Vivian Alshaw was one of the people. Sends in a $10 super sticker. Big shout out, Vivian.
Big shout out.
And Pamela Kirby, another $5 super sticker. Big shout out.
Yay.
Wow. Really cool, you guys. You guys, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Very cool. Pamela says, happy coffee day. Made my second order to Coachella yesterday. Ordered tea, too.
Nice.
They are great to support us. And Coachella is, it's a boutique type place. They do such good work, and their conscience is in the right place. I know, we buy stuff and sometimes we don't pay enough attention to that. But as I've told you, they support all these growers and business people who are women around the world. They've sent them seed money to get started, and they continue to be clients. And by the way, a lot of the seed money that they've sent, this is just on background, they don't ask for that money back. It's a grant. And I just think that speaks to them in even stronger ways. So love that you guys support them, and we love that they're part of our show. So Kim's News, and then Michael Snyder, the Culture Blaster, on what to watch this weekend. Please find it in your heart. Do it for free. Smash the like button like a boss.
Smash it with your iron rod.
Smash it with your iron rod. Thanks again to those who've sent us greetings. I've gotten a few more in, by the way, of anniversary greetings. It's funny because a couple of people have said, it's just too hard to send anything, but just want to say happy anniversary. Dan sent us something. Dan says, it's that time already? Congratulations on making it to year 2. Yeah. And I believe Steffi also said, not techie enough to send audio or video, but have been listening since the beginning and before. Your special guests are the best. Happy anniversary to all, Steffi. She spells it Steffee, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you both, and thanks to everybody who has sent us stuff. We'll visit more of the greetings in the next week or so, and as we close in on the end of the first year. So very, very cool. Kim's News and Culture Blaster next. Mark Thompson Show.
The Mark Thompson Show.
On the Mark Thompson Show, I'm Kim McAllister. Let's start with this one because it is news. The Navy will start testing SEALs for performance-enhancing drugs. This after a trainee died in San Diego. That happened last year. He's back in California. Donald Trump among 3 candidates scheduled to speak today at the California Republican Party convention in Anaheim. Hundreds of Trump supporters waited in line since early this morning to get a glimpse of the former president. Trump scheduled to speak during a luncheon. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott holding a fireside chat at 3 p.m. And then Florida Governor Ron DeSantis will speak during a dinner banquet. A 4th candidate, businessman Vivek Ramaswamy, is scheduled to speak Saturday. Their convention runs through Sunday.
There's never been anything like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Who doesn't want to go hear that, see that? What? Over in Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Am I being played out?
Sounds great.
I did everything right and they indicted me.
Yeah, there you go.
Santa Monica will pay you not to drive. The Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority is rolling out this new pilot program in partnership with Santa Monica that will pay 200 residents with multiple cars to only use one of them. The program pays up to about $120 per week for 5 weeks. Members of those households also receive a Metro Tap card preloaded with $50 plus up to 10 free rides on Metro Bike Share. Participants need to be at least 21 years old and have at least 2 cars in their household. So interesting.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
they
Building
don't want
some
people
economic
to drive.
incentive in. Sure. Yeah.
Right. I mean, get some cars off the roadway. If people take the money, go for it. It's because the price of gas is going nutso. Absolutely nutso. They are streaming toward a record high. According to AAA of Southern California, the Los Angeles County average for a gallon of regular has bumped up 3 cents overnight. It's now $6.32. See, that's cheap for me. I'm seeing $6.50 over here in the North Bay. The record high price, $6.49, which was set last October. Oil industry experts suggest that record will be eclipsed sometime early this October. I keep going higher and higher. They're killing me. This woman, I'll tell you, she's and I always pronounce her name wrong. Is it Noam?
Yeah, Noam, right.
Noam, yeah, I said Noam last time. Christy Noam, there she is with her gun.
Yeah.
She wants you to move to South Dakota. Christy Noam, the governor of South Dakota, is making this request in response to California's newly signed gun laws. Noam inviting California gun manufacturers and law-abiding gun owners to move to her state after California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a series of bills that increased taxes on firearms and ammunition and excise tax on gun manufacturers. And the laws also now tighten restrictions on concealed carry laws. Governor Noam posting a quote on social media that said, "Why live in a state where your Second Amendment rights are infringed?" South Dakota ranks as the state with the second highest number of registered weapons per capita.
Well, I mean, this is crazy how these weapons are used as rallying cries. And they're really, all these political ads that have various candidates firing weapons at targets, blowing up whatever. It's lunacy. God, we've come... You'd think we would have come a lot farther by now, but we haven't.
No, we haven't.
Yeah.
Erythritol. This is a sugar replacement being linked to heart attacks and strokes. That according to a new study published in the journal Nature Medicine. Erythritol is used to sweeten stevia and monk fruit reduced sugar products. The study links it to blood clotting, stroke, and death. Its lead author says the degree of risk was not modest. Those with existing risk factors for heart disease, twice as likely to have a heart attack or stroke with the highest levels of erythritol in their blood. This is the thing. Everyone says, oh, stevia is fine and healthy for you. And then you have a study like this. frustrating.
Yeah. No, I know.
Don't eat sugar, but don't eat the stevia, and don't
right,
eat the
exactly.
NutraSweet,
What
and
am I
don't eat the
supposed to
this.
do? Right. Mm.
Half of shoppers plan to begin their holiday shopping by Halloween this year. That, according to a recent Bankrate report. Retail Me found that as many as 64% of shoppers are kicking off the season in October. That's up from 53% last year. So you're getting a little jump start on your holiday shopping.
Wow.
Bump up the economy at the same time. Why not? Right?
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
are you going to do a modest holiday season? I think it's going to be kind of a modest holiday season at my house.
It's going to have to over here.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I come from regular stock.
Yeah, that's right. Clarence Thomas probably be doing a kind of a modest thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
This comes from regular stock, of course.
You know, the Carters are in Jimmy Carter in hospice care. But this weekend, it is his 99th birthday.
Wow.
The celebration is being moved to avoid the government shutdown, sadly. But Carter is the oldest living former U.S. president. He turns 99 years old on Sunday, October 1st.
Wow, that's terrific. What a
99.
celebration that'll be.
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol
Albert,
involved.
please. That's have a little respect for our president.
There was a birthday celebration planned for the day at the Jimmy Carter Library and Museum in Atlanta, but those plans have been moved up in case the government shuts down on Saturday night.
Sure, they'll have to close it. Of course, there'll be no employees there, right?
Yeah. So that's the, far-reaching hand of government there.
Boy, I'll tell you, he was diagnosed with this cancer some time ago. The guy's done very well through this entire thing, and I believe she's suffering with some cognitive
dementia.
Yeah, sad, but
Lastly, I will tell you that if you ever wondered where the fanciest, nicest public bathrooms in America are, well, rest assured, I have the information here on the Mark Thompson Show.
Okay.
The top public bathrooms in the nation are located at Baltimore Washington International Thurgood Marshall Airport.
What?
That is according to corporate supplies company Cintas, which crowned the restrooms at BWI Marshall the best in America. These are newly constructed bathrooms described as bright and airy, with the embodiment of clean, natural light, room for luggage. This is all the things you want in a bathroom,
There's
right?
never been anything like this.
Yeah, that's great. I wish they could maybe construct a similar incredible bathroom in downtown San Francisco, and we could take bets on how quickly it would be trashed to the point that no one would want to use it anymore.
Yeah, it wouldn't stay white like that and clean and sparkling. No. The airport outdueled 9 other finalists in public voting. It will get $2,500 worth of Cintas cleaning products to celebrate. Look at that. Hey. It is a nice looking bathroom, I will say. It
does look nice. It makes me want to go to the bathroom now, actually.
Little bench
but
to
I'll
sit
wait.
down.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, hey. This report is crowdfunded, which means we do rely on you. This show can be found at themarkthompsonshow.com, themarkthompsonshow.com. You'll find the Patreon and the PayPal links, also the link to merchandise, podcasts, everything right on that website.
A lot of links. That's great.
It's true. It's link heavy. Themarkthompsonshow.com. Go there, find it, and do all the things you do. I'm Kim McAllister. Luxuriate.
And themarkthompsonshow.com and the linkage.
As if you were sitting on the bench here at the BWI bathroom.
At that bathroom, yeah.
Relax and check it out. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is The Mark Thompson Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Shadow Stevens. This is The Mark Thompson Show. Keep it to yourself.
Here's Mark Thompson.
Yeah, we are coming home. A Friday that's already been packed with a lot of news, breaking news. If you missed any of the first hour, you can find it. We'll release some videos of the stuff that we've done. We had a big Law and Disorder that featured a lot of news of arrests and of convictions and of sentencing and also weirdness and prison pals and all the rest. Well, that's all in the first hour. Politics has dominated a lot of our second hour, and now this guy's so generous to come in when it comes to movies and music and television and streaming. When it comes to culture, he is without peer. He's the culture blaster, and he comes and goes on a rainbow. How How about it for the great Michael Snyder, everyone?
Greetings and salutations to the marvelous Marky Mouth and, of course, Queen Kim. If Albert's around, Albert. If it's
Yes,
Tony, hello to everybody.
Yeah, Tony. No, right. Everybody's here. Good job.
I have to say, Christy Gnome is the only gnome I wouldn't want in my garden.
All right, that is. She's got that weapon with her at all times,
Right. Well, I guess she'd protect the plants and what have you if she was back there.
Yeah, that is true. That's true.
I don't want anything to do with her. Let's talk about something cool and fun and positive. Hardly Strictly Bluegrass, the massive free music festival in Golden Gate Park, is happening this weekend. I am on a San Francisco leg of my coastal commute. I live between here and Los Angeles, as the cognoscenti know. You want to hit the dinger?
Yeah, a cognoscenti is clearly a ding word.
And I am up in San Francisco for a bit. I don't do outdoor festivals and I don't do windows, so don't ask. But I am almost tempted to check out the legendary New Orleans soul singer and R&B legend Irma Thomas, who will be playing Hardly Strictly. Check the schedules via any online Hardly Strictly info dumps. And Irma Thomas, highly recommended. But there are a lot of people playing, and there's a lot of enthusiasm for that. And, of course, our 49ers are playing the Cardinals on Sunday. Trust me, that's a day I will be avoiding everything but a TV screen. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, they're favored by 2 touchdowns, Michael Snyder. I don't know about
we talked a little bit about the Folsom Street Fair last week, and I guess I shouldn't have been surprised when I went there at the large number of hot sausage stands. I was like, really? You're selling sausages at the Folsom Street Fair? Look, despite people in full-body animal costumes and 2 guys I saw in Mandalorian helmets and little else, it was definitely not Disneyland. That's all I'll say about the Folsom Street Fair. One more quick note. You talked about the cleanest bathroom in America. Is that right? In Washington?
That's right.
There were porta potties everywhere at the Folsom Street Fair, and I don't know what was going on inside them, but I will tell you that every time I see a Honey Bucket brand porta potty, I feel a little queasy. There's just something about the name Honey Bucket that throws me off a bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's never been anything like this.
All right, Michael, take me to a movie review, God.
All right. I do point out that, like last week's unfortunate genre franchise entry, Expendables 4, we've got the release of a new installment of a long-running series. In this case, it's the 10th chapter in the horror movie franchise Saw, which, if you know, is built around the plight of people having to choose increasingly grisly and gory ways to die by an unhinged psychopath named Jigsaw.
They never caught Jigsaw in all of this, huh?
Yeah. So
still out there.
Saw 10 is marketed as Saw X, as in the Roman numeral. But did I see Saw? No, I didn't see Saw. Meaning no review here.
I get it. Okay,
No publicist approached me and said, "Say, would you like to see Saw?" Anyway, I didn't seek to see Saw, so it remained unseen by me. So let's talk about the movies.
Well, it's interesting, by the way, just the original Saw franchise was also, I think, not provided to reviewers ahead of time. And no studio wanted to fund and distribute Saw. So producers got the money themselves, and now look at it. How many Saw movies have there been? It's one of the most successful horror franchises in history.
This is 10, but the sadism of it is so unrelenting, and their inventive ways to
torture and kill people. Yeah, it's awful.
Deal death. I just, there's a point where there's no, payoff that's worth going to see these things,
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about a movie of some degree of worth. As the fall movie season, often referred to as the start of awards season, starts to rev up, we have the release of a big-budget science fiction extravaganza that looked impressive, and, man, it sprawls across the widescreen. It's called The Creator. And despite its futuristic setting, it's not so far in the future that we don't hear familiar pop songs on the soundtrack. And, the main thrust is the viability and potential danger of artificial intelligence, robots, sentient or not, and the rights of such constructs. Yeah, it's the AI conundrum, which is in our faces a lot these days, whether it's about
Yeah.
The uses of ChatGPT or the impact of AI on the creative arts, a significant element of the WGA and SAG strikes, right?
Yeah.
Anyhow, The Creator was directed by Gareth Edwards, whose Rogue One was the best Star Wars big screen spin-off to date, and whose 2014 revival of Godzilla was solid, but not quite as good as his first giant monster kaiju movie, 2010's Monsters, which, by the way, is worth seeking out on streaming. So expectations were high for The Creator, which is nominally about the future struggle for dominance between humans and human-like AI people. Put that in quotes. John David
nominal.
John David Washington is Joshua, a black ops soldier in the war between America or its future equivalent, which has been victimized by an AI instigated catastrophe, and other AI on the planet. So this sort of America is trying to wipe out all AI, and a coalition of Asian territories is providing safe harbor to generally upstanding robots and androids. So the Western forces are sending in troops, supposedly in secret, to destroy the communities of AI, and basically collateral damage be damned.
So wait a minute. So they're going to the Asian territories where they are fostering these kinds of AI robots, and so it's is that right? Okay.
Yes. So they're doing what are ostensibly secret, operations, but I don't know. There are lots of explosions, Mark.
It's tough to stay secret with all those explosions. Ostensibly, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
In the tumult of one military operation, Joshua, an advanced scout who has gone native, is separated from his pregnant wife, played by Gemma Chan, coincidentally, of the great TV series Humans, which is also about AI sentience and rights, and also the Marvel movie Eternals. So anyway, Joshua doesn't know if his wife is dead or alive, and in the aftermath of that tragedy, he's conscripted to find a weapon in the Asian zone that was built to bring down humanity, and what he finds is not what he expected. So the actors, including Allison Janney as a hard-ass colonel, and Ken Watanabe as, I think, an android or a human-shaped AI, they're all great. The set pieces and effects are stunning to see, and the ideas are intriguing with the conflicts, deliberate echoes of the Vietnam War. In a lot of ways, you feel like you're looking at Vietnam War footage, right? But robots. Anyway, the setup, the execution, and geopolitical nature of the conflict, and the provenance and the classes of AI are not clearly defined. And despite this spectacular nature, the end game is kind of borderline senseless. The creator suffers from sloppy world building, and that's on Edwards and his co-screenwriter, Chris Weitz, who has done great stuff in the past. As Dave Letterman's old comedian pal, George Miller, used to say, buy the premise and you buy the bit. I may have been dazzled by much of the creator, but I never thoroughly bought it. It's in theaters. And, caveat emptor.
All right. What else do you have?
Muzzle. Muzzle starts off promisingly as the story of a Los Angeles policeman and his partner, who happens to be a four-legged member of the LAPD Canine Corps. The cop, played by Aaron Eckhart, who got his start in the terrific low-budget drama In the Company of Men, and his dog, played by a German Shepherd, again, provenance unknown here, they're on patrol when they're called to a crime scene where the machinations of a violent, powerful gang of drug dealers set the story in motion. There are some good things about Muzzle, mostly the depiction of the bond shared by policemen and police dogs, but there are also a lot of gratuitous interactions between the cop and other humans that are not really fleshed out enough. It's directed in very conventional style by John Stolberg Jr., and it eventually descends into rather obvious cops and criminals conflict, but it's short on coherence and short on believable stakes. It's nice to see Stephen Lang, by the way, the heavy in the Avatar movies, playing an LAPD officer who trains the dogs for departmental use. Alas, Muzzle, despite its possibilities, is a dog. One on the shaggy side. It's in theaters and available for streaming. Muzzle.
Ah, Muzzle. He looks like Reacher a bit, says Square. TJ
Yeah, man.
Hooker way better, says Champagne Wishes.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I am really excited for the second season of Reacher. Bring it on. Alan Richmond is great. I'm really, that's I think in November or December, but let's move on to something kind of fascinating and something I really enjoyed and not a big time suck. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Some may say that the filmmaker Wes Anderson is a bit on the smug, pretentious, and self-indulgent side. And when I say some, I mean me. But his intellectual gymnastics and his dry, deadpan wit and the bold, color-coordinated visuals of his movies can be thrilling, aided and abetted by the myriad A-list actors who eagerly agree to be part of his projects. You know, I may shrug or roll my eyes at Asteroid City and bemoan the unevenness of the French Dispatch, but I was enthralled by his Moonrise Kingdom, the Grand Budapest Hotel, and the fantastic Mr. Fox, the latter being his stop-motion animation adaptation of a book by the mordantly witty author Roald Dahl. You want to ding mordantly?
I want to ding mordantly, I want to ding bemoaned, and I want to ding something else you said, and I can't think of what it was. So, all right, go ahead.
Anyway, Dahl is also the writer behind Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Matilda, so you basically can get the sensibility here. I am happy to report that the first of Anderson's 4 short films for Netflix, adapting some lesser-known works by Dahl, is quite a treat. It's called The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, and it concerns a wealthy guy known as Henry Sugar, naturally. He's played by Benedict Cumberbatch, who is part of Anderson's repertory cast for the 4 shorts. Sugar loves to gamble, learns of a guru played by Ben Kingsley, who can see without the use of his eyes, and decides to have the guru teach him the trick in order to win at gambling by seeing the faces of cards before they're turned. So it's a cool idea, and it goes in an unlikely place, and it's kind of uplifting. And the cast also features Ralph Fiennes as author Roald Dahl, Dev Patel as a researcher, and Richard Ayoade as a yogi, and 5 of the top liners play dual roles in the project, and most of them are slated to appear in the 3 other Anderson Dahl films. And kind of in typical Anderson fashion, The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar looks fantastic and has his wry sensibilities, which align with Dahl's own. I would say this Sugar is a sweet little delight, and it comes in at roughly, 45 minutes, 39 minutes, not very long at all. So it's on Netflix, and so are the 3 other Dahl adaptations. I recommend Henry Sugar.
Yeah, that's something. That's really terrific. Great. I'd like to hear it.
Okay, so we didn't have time last week to talk about No One Will Save You, and it was absolutely meriting coverage because I thought it was really, really good. It's a alien invasion thriller starring Caitlin Dever, the young actress who was in Booksmart and various other films. She's on the rise. She's really wonderful in this. Unfriendly but scientifically curious extraterrestrials invade Earth, at first in what seems to be a one-ship exploratory mission. It isn't. In any case, we see the invasion from the perspective of a damaged and ostracized but plucky young woman whose mom has died and who is now living a distance outside a small town where she's kind of a pariah for reasons that become apparent over the course of the movie. So she quickly learns there's more than just one invader, and it becomes a fight for survival, kind of like Ripley versus the alien in the Aliens movies. So our outcast actually kills an alien, pissing off the other aliens who want to get her under control and examine what makes her tick. So she's really resourceful. But they eventually kind of get what they wanted. To say more would be sinful. But apparently they kind of want to mentally enslave the whole planet. I really was impressed with this. I thought that No One Will Save You, which is written and directed by Brian Duffield, kicked ass. Dever was wonderful. There's a lovely and strange twist at the end, and it is available on Hulu. And so, hey, baby.
Stream it at your pleasure, then you're saying.
Absolutely. I really got a kick out of No One Will Save You. It's a sci-fi movie with creepy aspects that even you, a hater of gore, would probably enjoy.
I'm on board with it. I'll probably watch it this weekend. Kim, I'm going to ask you, because you have this other show that you do. Can we have Michael do one more? Would you mind? I think she's muted, but she says, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I don't want to talk about any more movies this week. I do want to talk about Crapopolis on Fox. It is an animated comedy about an ancient Greek city and the idiots who live there. And it comes from writer-producer Dan Harmon, who also was in large part behind the sitcom Community and the very well-loved cartoon Rick and Morty. So in Crapopolis, Tyrannus, the hapless mortal son of the goddess Deliria, and a half-man, half-manticore named Shlub, is trying to establish his own city-state, and he does so in incompetent fashion. This is rapid-fire funny stuff with plenty of satirical observations about civilization then and now. And it doesn't hurt that Tyrannus and his parents are voiced by giants of British comedy, starting with Richard Ayoade, who we mentioned is in the Wes Anderson movie, playing Tyrannus, Hannah Waddingham, so wonderful in Ted Lasso as his mom, and Matt Berry of various projects, including Toast of London and What We Do in the Shadows, playing Daddy. I went in there with a bit of a chip on my shoulder. You know, some of these Fox animated shows, not great. This knocked me out. I was totally amused and entertained by Crapopolis on Fox. And for those of you who like sword and sorcery, sticking to animation, Castlevania Nocturne just dropped on Netflix. It's a sequel to the Warren Ellis penned animated series based on a popular video game franchise with mystical kingdoms and vampires and magicians. And despite its origins as part of the video game mania, I thought Castlevania was absolutely great, and I'm looking forward to Nocturne. So that's
I don't know how you do it, but you do it. You review and you take in so many of these things. It's just amazing to me. Again, Castlevania he loved. Crapopolis he loved. These are two animated things that really come to life for the Culture Blaster. No One Will Save You. There's the Crapopolis crew. No One Will Save You is the new streamer on Hulu. Didn't get to it that last week, but got to it this week because Michael says it's really a good ride, an alien invasion thriller. I'm looking forward to it. The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, the Wes Anderson helmed piece with Cumberbatch, with Kingsley, with his coterie of actors and contributors. It's supposed to be great, according to Michael. Was really happy with it. He doesn't always love Wes Anderson stuff, but he likes The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar, and it comes in at only 45 minutes. That's on Netflix. Muzzle brings together this canine corps cop and Aaron Eckhart. And Michael said,
yeah, it kind of falls apart. Apart.
And finally, The Creator, the sci-fi offering from the director of Rogue One and Monsters. He said, well, if you buy the premise, maybe you'll like the movie. The premise, though, is shaky and it's very hard to buy.
The world building is problematic. It's a dazzler on the big screen, and no complaints about John David Washington. He's a sturdy leading man, and the support from the likes of Janney and Gemma Chan also good. I just wish it had been more intelligently conceived from the get-go.
Yeah.
I think that's the issue.
So bottom line is there's a lot good in it, but it just doesn't quite make the finish line for the Culture Blaster. Loved our visit, and go Niners. I'm excited that will you be in San Francisco next week or in Los Angeles next week? You're back and forth.
I believe I'll be in San Francisco for another week or two at least. But in the meantime, will I be at Levi's Stadium? I give that a hearty no.
Okay, you will not be at Levi's, but you will be there in spirit. He comes and goes on a rainbow. Bye, Michael.
Fare thee well, everyone.
Yeah, wow, very impressive. Got out relatively on time, too. Like it. Kim's got a train to catch, so we try to get her out of here on time. I do want to acknowledge those who did make contributions today through super stickers and super chats. Pinky with $1 a day.
Big
What up,
shout
Pink?
out.
Oops.
Really, really cool. And then everybody else, Spencer Jaffe, one of our stalwart contributors. Thank you for a few bucks
Big
today,
shout out.
Spencer. Yeah, right on. And Valiant is new. A quick buck from Valiant.
Big shout out.
Yeah, very cool.
I
Thank
like
you.
the picture too.
Thank you, Valiant. And what a year it has been, says Luis. Thank you so much. Will there be a limited edition MT anniversary merch offering?
I stand corrected.
I need to talk to the merch people. We need to hustle. We'll figure a discount or something maybe on the merch site. Yeah. Let me talk to them. In the meantime, big shout out, Luis. Always good super chats. And I got to talk to them. I'm pausing because I'm thinking, wonder what we
Maybe
got
a
a lot of
game
stuff.
worn jersey, like a Mark Thompson worn Mark Thompson show shirt.
Oh yeah, well that's
maybe.
kind of an auction item, I guess. Yeah. But I was thinking, we'll figure it out. We'll figure out something.
Maybe some
We'll do
autographed mugs. Yeah.
Will he auction off the black jacket? No, never.
No, the track jacket looks great, Mark. I want the track jacket to return.
Oh, the
I
track.
love
Yeah,
track jackets,
Albert likes the track jacket more than
Yeah,
the.
it's kind of. What does it say along the side? What do you have
it's
on
just
your
the
sleeve?
name of the product or whatever.
Oh.
It's super dry, I think. Yeah, but it looks cool from this angle because you can't really read the. So it looks better. But I can't believe it, everybody. But well, they tell me
that's it.
We're done for this week. A program note for Monday. Kim, the lifeguard on the beach, the bouncer at the club, the tough mama, Kim.
Kim, how are you?
She will be here doing it solo on Monday. Yeah, that's right. She finally gets what she wants. Mark out, Kim in.
Thank the
It's
Lord.
going to be fun. I will be watching, but unfortunately not able to be here on Monday.
There's a reason that this place is fun.
Albert will be here on Monday, though, and hopefully with stories of a Niner triumph. And
Albert, thank you.
Also, it would be nice if the Niners could cover the 2 touchdowns. Thanks, everybody who shares the show. Sharing the show is so important on Facebook, etc. So thank you, everyone. And
I'm Shadow Stevens for the Mark Thompson Show. Bye-bye.
The After Party Live is next.
I'll write it and I'll do it live.
Over on the After Party Live channel. Thanks, everybody. Good weekend. Until next week. Bye-bye.